Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, my name is LJ and you're watching NoClutch Garage. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the B58 and just generally how to go about upgrading or getting more power out of your car. Now I get this question a lot, like that is probably one of the most asked questions that I ever get, is what should be my first mod on my new B58 powered car. Now there's not really like a good answer for this because a lot of people go about this different way. There are the people that like to enjoy their car stock for a while and then upgrade little by little. You know, they'll go stage 1, stage 2, custom tune, big turbo, and it just depends how you want to upgrade everything. But what I'm going to tell you today is kind of the way I did it and what I would have done different if I would have done anything different. So I have here Eric's B58 car. It's still running stock turbo, but it's got a few bits that, you know, really woke up the car from what it was in its original form. His way of upgrading the car is kind of the way I did it. The way I did it is only different because I was upgrading this car at the very beginning of the B58 platform development, so we didn't have a lot of things like the high pressure fuel pump upgrades, even many turbo upgrades for that matter. A lot of us were still running JB4s, you know, so it just really changed a lot. So now that I see it from this perspective and just how far along the platform has come, I have a better sense of what I would have done different and what I think is the most rational way to go about upgrading your power in your car. Now that doesn't mean that this is gonna exactly fit everybody's, you know, upgrade path, but this is just what I would do. So let's get to it. So what we're looking at right here is obviously a B58 engine bay, and this is pretty much going to be exactly the same for any B58. Even the Supras look very similar to this, but right now we're going to focus on the BMW side of things because this is mainly, you know, a Gen 1 B58 channel. But that's not to say that the Supras don't have identical or similar upgrade paths. The one thing that I will say is that Supras don't really have a high pressure fuel pump upgrade, and that's about the only difference. So when we're talking about modifications on the B58, it can be very daunting. Now if you look throughout my channel from the very first videos, you can kind of see a progression of how I went about upgrading my car, but it's not really like a true way of doing it. So I'm gonna tell you the way that I would do it from all the things that I know now. So the first thing that I would absolutely do is I would flash my car with a tune. Now the tune would definitely have to be a flash tune. I would not do a JB4, and that is not a knock against JB4 at all. Obviously there are many flash tunes out there. There is, you know, MHD, Boot Mod, there's MG Flasher, and I think there's a new one called MK Flasher that just came out. Gen 2 has EQ Tech, which I highly recommend. So there are many different flashers that you can choose from. Now I obviously had MHD in the very beginning, but you can choose to get whatever flasher you want. When my car was still around, I switched over to MG Flasher, and honestly MG Flasher is really good. Obviously if you're going custom tune, you want to pick out a good tuner or a tuner of your choice, and that's about it. The only reason that I said that I wouldn't do JB4 is because JB4 is not really a true flash tune. It's more of like a boost controller, a very advanced boost controller at that. But just from my experience and what I went through, JB4 is good for those people that don't want to void their warranty and just want a little bit extra power. It's great for that, and for that I do recommend it. But if you're not worried about warranty at all, I would say get yourself a flash tune and we can go from there. So number 1, flash tune. Now from here on out, you can choose to go one or two ways. You can go into stage 1 or you can go straight into stage 2. And the reason that I say it like that is because going stage 1, you're gonna pay like a $99 fee for that stage 1 tune. If you go straight into stage 2, you'll still pay $99. But if you go from stage 1 to stage 2, then you're paying the $99 twice for the different maps. What I did and what I would recommend, just, you know, being the person that I am and wanting power, is I would just go straight to stage 2. The caveat with that is that if you go stage 2, you're gonna need an upgraded downpipe. Now what I mean by upgraded, it's either gonna be catless or it's gonna be high flow. So with stage 2, you're gonna need an upgraded downpipe. That's not too costly. I think the flash tune with the maps, it's about $350, and then a downpipe is another $350. So you're about $700 in. You go from making 300 horsepower to about 410 on 93, and then if you go to the ethanol maps, you can make a little bit more than that. And that's just, you know, I'm just throwing general numbers out there. Just, it's not exact, but generally from what I've seen on the dynos and the many B58s that have come across, especially on the dyno at EuroMpire, this is what we have seen. So all right, get your flash tune and get your downpipe. Next thing I would really upgrade would be this little guy back here. That is a Dorch Engineering Stage 2 high pressure fuel pump. Now I personally love the Dorch Engineering Stage 2. Why? Because it is a very good pump. It has been reliable, it's not noisy, and honestly Dorch Engineering has excellent customer service. So that's why I like that. Now there are other companies. There's also a spool pump that you can get. They have the FX180 and the FX150. I haven't ran those pumps personally, so I can't really speak on them, but I can speak highly of Dorch Engineering. That's just the pump that I prefer. So definitely after you do basically what's full bolt-on on the car, I would say go get yourself a pump and you'd be good to go. Another thing that I would consider doing on this car would be a transmission tune. This car comes with a ZF8 8HP50, which is a very good transmission, but it gets a lot better with a transmission tune. Basically what a transmission tune is going to do is it's going to help make these shifts a lot snappier and a lot faster. It also raises the line pressure to allow you to run more torque, because you will run into some torque limiters as you tune for more power. Now there are some tuners out there that are very clever and can actually raise those torque limiters via the ECU, and you don't really need XHP, but it does help with the way the transmission operates. So I definitely recommend a transmission tune as well. Now Eric here has a intake. Intakes are not really necessary on B58, nor are charge pipes. B58 stock box is actually really good. It does a really good job at insulating, and it keeps those IATs nice and low. The filter is more than enough for the stock turbo, and generally you're not going to have any issues. The only thing that you really benefit from having a big intake like this on a stock turbo is going to be noise. Your noise is definitely going to change. It's going to sound a lot better, and if you're into that, go ahead and get it. But if you're going after performance, you can go ahead and skip an intake. You can also skip a charge pipe. These charge pipes are not like the N54 and N55 charge pipes. These are really good charge pipes. They have really good plastic on them. We've seen these charge pipes be pushed upwards of 650 horsepower on a stock charge pipe. So I don't really think it's necessary to upgrade the charge pipe either. Now if you want to run math, or you know, you need to put some hop switches and stuff, then yeah, I would say upgrade your charge pipe. I personally use the FTP charge pipe, and it worked really well for me. It has 1, 2, 3 bungs, and that was more than enough for what I needed. So not necessary, but if you want peace of mind, you can definitely get it. Yeah, so that would be intake and charge pipe. Not necessary, so definitely I would keep them off my list if I was upgrading this car. Let's recap: flash tune, downpipe, and high pressure fuel pump. Now that would set you up on a custom tune. This car made 504 horsepower and 600 pound-feet of torque. That's on a custom tune on a stock turbo. I think that's a lot of power, and this was obviously on an E50 mix, and on a 93 tune it would make, I don't know, I would say closer to like 450 horsepower, just give or take. Marin hasn't tuned the car on 93 yet on a custom tune, so we don't know, but I'll probably have those numbers out at some other point. Now that we basically crossed full bolt-on the motor side of things, I would say definitely start considering upgrading some driveline items. So, you know, axles, drive shafts. I wouldn't worry too much about the transmission yet, but definitely consider those. Consider an LSD so that you can put the power down better on a rear-wheel drive vehicle. It's also beneficial in an all-wheel drive vehicle, but you're gonna have an easier time putting the power down. Consider those. If you're able to do that, go ahead. Right now I kind of want to focus on just the B58 motor itself. So I would say after you do the high pressure fuel pump, custom tune, everything, you can go ahead and upgrade your turbo. Now turbo, there are a lot of choices out there. You have Pure 800, you have Big Boost, you have Vargas, you have a few others like turbo systems that have come out with, you know, different kits. You have Dock Race. Really, the turbo upgrade options have really blown up in the past year. So there are a lot more options than there were before. Before it was only pretty much Pure 800 and Big Boost. And I personally like Big Boost. They've always been great to me, and it makes massive power. I mean, bottom mount is the go-to for me. I'm not much of a top mount guy, and I have my reasons for that. So I'd say you do a turbo kit, and then you tune around that, because you're gonna need a custom tune to run that big turbo. Now, what you could do, going back to doing the fuel pump upgrade and custom tune, you can run the fuel pump upgrade with several OTS maps on these flash platforms, and what you could choose to do is also upgrade the turbo at the time that you upgrade your high pressure fuel pump, and then just go straight into tuning for a custom turbo kit. And at that point, you know, it's pretty much limitless, the amount of power that you can produce. You know, at that point, maybe I would consider upgrading the charge pipe, and that's just, you know, for peace of mind. It's not really anything crazy that's gonna happen to your car. Now, one thing I will say is, once you have a big turbo on your car, you're gonna want to think about secondary fueling. Now, that could be in the form of meth, or also it could be in the form of port injection. Now, there are two systems that I know of, one of them from Evolution of Speed and one of them from Precision Raceworks, and that's a plate that goes between the manifold and the head, and basically it's gonna have injectors on it, and you're gonna have port injection there. There is also meth that you can add. That would be secondary fueling to the car. You can do it through the charge pipe, which I do not recommend, at least not by itself. The distribution of the fuel from the charge pipe into the intake manifold is not great, because we have that core in the middle of our manifold that's basically an intercooler, so the distribution of fuel is not really the best. But Williams Performance makes a great plate kit that is similar to the port injection kit. So it's port meth injection, and that injects meth directly into the runners, which makes the fuel distribution even. If you're gonna go bigger turbo, you're gonna want to consider secondary fueling. The last thing you want to do is lean out and, you know, blow up your motor, and I know a little bit about that. Once you have that in place, you're gonna reach a cap. I would say safely about 700 horsepower. I wouldn't push it any more than that on a stock motor. We have seen other motors push up to 850, and that was actually on the B58 TU. I think Gen 1 did it as well. I think Juan from Big Boost did it, but I don't recommend it, at least not long term. I would say anywhere from 700 to 850 horsepower. Consider upgrading your internals on your motor, and you know, that's rods and pistons, and that should be enough. I did rods, pistons, head studs, and main studs just to bulletproof it. At some point I would have had to do valves and valve springs and everything else in the head, and probably a ported head, and at that point we're heading into big power territory. But basically, if you want a very powerful and reliable daily, and you want to stay stock turbo, get a high pressure fuel pump, get a custom tune and a downpipe, and you'll be good for about 500 horsepower on E50. You can race the blend to maybe E60. You can even run fully E85, but that's up to your tuner's discretion. You don't want to push the turbo too much, because the turbos are known to blow up if they're not tuned properly. So definitely get you a tuner that is knowledgeable and that can tune you properly, and I think you should be fine. There are things that are going to come up, you know, as you upgrade. You know, the PCV is going to be an issue that comes up at some point. Definitely your plugs still need to be upgraded, because the stock ones are good, but you're definitely going to have to adjust the gap depending on the size of your turbo. I had them at 0.018 and my car ran fine. Yeah, there are other small things that are going to come up, but nothing too crazy. And then I would say when you're reaching about 700, 750 wheel torque or more than that, I would consider a transmission upgrade, because these transmissions, as good as they are, they can also blow up on you catastrophically. Now we have transmission upgrades, which is great. I personally recommend Pure Drivetrains. They have some of the most comprehensive packages that I've seen, and they have some great ratings for, you know, stage 0, stage 1, stage 2, and I think coming soon stage 3. And I also know that they're working on a transfer case upgrade for those of you that are xDrive. Take all this into consideration and how you would want to upgrade your car. Obviously there are some of you that are just going to want to throw on a JB4 and be done with it. Some of you that might just want to go stage 1 and be done with it, and you know, that's fine. It's really up to you. One final note that I do want to make is these cars come with 0W20 oil from the factory. I don't think that you should add more power horsepower with that same oil rating. If you're saying stock, I say it's fine. That's what BMW wanted. But I'd say that if you're upgrading, I would go to 5W30. That seemed to be the sweet spot for me. 5W40 is a little bit thicker, and you know, you can use that if you're in a hotter climate. But for me, it's a temperate climate. It doesn't get terribly hot in the summer, and definitely does get cold. But 5W30 has been used by BMW for a while, and it works just fine on this motor. So I would definitely change my oil out. But other than that, guys, this platform is so good because the upgrade path is so easy and so intuitive and so easy. So it makes it really, really easy to, you know, go from one step to the other. You can even jump straight into the big stuff just by doing, you know, high pressure fuel pump and turbo and a downpipe. You wouldn't even have to upgrade your intake unless you have like a big boost kit where, you know, your stock airbox will not fit there anymore. Then you can, you know, pick one of these out, an aftermarket intake. On my car, I had an MST intake and it was great. And other than that, that's pretty much it. All right, guys, I hope that that was a comprehensive view at your upgrade path for your B58. This is, like I said, this is just what I would do. This is what I kind of did, or I would have done if all of this was available to me when we first started with the B58. Other people may have a different take on it, but honestly, this is my way. This is what I advise people. This is the way that we did this car and my car, and it has worked tremendously well for us. Now this car is ready to be upgraded a little bit more. It will be in the channel a little bit more. We're doing a bigger turbo on it at some point. Probably gonna do an LSD on it. Yeah, we'll see how far Eric wants to take this build. I think he really wants to go far with it. So, you know, as far as he wants to go, that's as far as we will go. But all in all, that's the way I would do things and upgrade things on this car. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening to my ramblings, and I hope that this was helpful to you. I know that this will answer many questions to those of you that actually are a little bit confused about how to go about this platform. I know it can be kind of confusing to go from one platform to the next, those of you that come from, like, let's say a JDM platform onto a European. But honestly, this is one of the most comprehensive platforms that I have found. So guys, I hope this really helped you out. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments down below, or hit my IG. I do answer my questions, or a lot of your questions there. Don't be afraid to send me a DM. I'll try to get around to it. If I don't get it right away, I'm really sorry. But thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for always being awesome and supporting me. We're at 4,000 subscribers, and I'm just out here trying to help, you know, everybody, trying to get everybody up to the level they want to be. So I will keep these videos coming for you guys. We're not done with B58 just yet. Anyway, guys, I'll see you later.